John Bolton, School Principal here at Newport Harbor High School. And welcome to the 6th Hall of Fame class ceremony put on by our Alumni Association. I'd like to first welcome and thank our school board members here in attendance. We have Michelle Bartow, who's school board president. Here, she has a freshman at Newport Harbor High School, is a third-generation sailor. We have Kel Crane, who's in attendance, who's a trustee as well, whose kids went through Newport Mesa Schools, and Karen Yels, who's a trustee in attendance as well. So welcome to our 3 trustees. And I'd like to also welcome faculty and staff at Newport Harbor High School who are in attendance, current faculty and former faculty, and obviously we're inducting 2 very special teachers along with some alum tonight. But I'm also a parent at Newport Harbor High School and a proud community member, and the rich traditions here have been carried on by the Alumni Association for many years now, and it's just fantastic that we have an association that connects the past to the present, and it lets our students see the future in many different ways. Just today, nutrition caught 3 students looking at the Hall of Fame wall. It's being live streamed by our TAR TV production program here, and so there's a lot of people watching at home. But it's so important for our current students to understand what came before them, because it's really the people that teach here and the people that occupy the classrooms and the hallways that give the school its traditions, its spirit, and its rich, rich history. And as we move forward tonight, I'd like to just thank Al Gaddis, who's in attendance tonight, who carried the Alumni Association. Anita Era, Greg Kelly and Clint Heiser did a great job of starting it, but Al really took it over the last few years and made it what it is today. And I just want to thank everybody who contributes to the Alumni Association, because the 20 scholarships that go to community college and also career technical education students every year, the $2,000 goes a long, long way for students as they go off to community college and also to their career technical trade schools. So thank you for that. So Laura DeSoto is our Master of Ceremonies tonight. She's the class of 1976. She's the co-president of the Alumni Association along with Sarah Robinson. So a quick applause for Laura DeSoto and Sarah Robinson for our co-presidents. And as a Newport Harbor alum, Uncle also attended Newport Harbor, as did her siblings, her 2 children, Chris in 2011 and Alex in 2014. They're the 3-generation sailor family. There's a lot of them coming through and are gone through right now who are 3 generations. We have a few 4 generations as well. Laura has volunteered with the Alumni Association since 2020, and this past January she was elected as co-president. So please welcome Laura DeSoto. And before we get going, Maggie McWhorter, our current ASB president, is going to lead us in the pledge, and then Laura's going to kick off the program.
Please rise and put your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Toad, are you going to have to sing? No.
All right. Well, a man or a woman is a success if he gets up in the morning and goes to bed at night, and in between gets to do what he or she wants to do. That was attributed to Bob Dylan. And I want to actually add something to Mr. Dylan's quote by saying you are an even more remarkable success if you get to make a big impact doing what you want to do or what you love to do. So good evening and welcome to the 6th induction ceremony for the Newport Harbor High Hall of Fame. Tonight, we honor 8 amazing achievers who have made a significant impact doing what they want to do, what they love to do in their chosen careers, while also giving back to their community. So tonight we have 6 Newport Harbor graduates and 2 extraordinary former faculty. We are excited to be back after an unplanned hiatus. Our last induction ceremony was in 2019. After spending time apart, coming back together to honor the best of our alma mater is even more special than before. Tonight would not have been possible without the involvement and support of many of those here tonight. So we owe a special thank you to Sean Bolton and everyone at Newport Harbor High School, especially Diana Long, Ann Brown, and Chris Ramirez in the theater, the students from our culinary program, and as mentioned just a moment ago, students from TAR TV who are filming and live streaming tonight's event. And finally, our often underappreciated maintenance staff who takes such good care of us. Thank you to our returning Hall of Fame inductees joining us both in the audience and on the stage to make introductions. Give us a wave if you're out there. Oh, here, a couple over here. Okay. And thank you to the Hall of Fame committee who brought together such a wonderful group of honorees tonight. We also want to acknowledge two founding alumni board members who pioneered the Hall of Fame 8 years ago, Greg Kelly and Corinne Hamilton Hauser. And many thanks to the current Alumni Association board and volunteers, especially Sarah Joyce Robinson, Alan Gaddis, Monica McDade, Art Jeffy, John Elliott, Lynn Hayes, Sue Lindsay, Shelley McGuire, Brandon Grams, and Eric Escher, who did all the design work that makes us look so good. And also to all of you, the Newport Harbor community of alumni, students, faculty, parents, and friends. Thank you for celebrating with us tonight and supporting Newport Harbor High through the years. Before going any further, we also need to say a very special thank you to two alumni board members who led us through the past few years, which were truly extraordinary times. To introduce them, we call upon Monica McDade, class of 1981, and secretary of the Newport Harbor High School Alumni Association. Monica?
We appreciate the audience indulging us in this personal time to honor a couple of our own before we begin the main program honoring these esteemed inductees. Al Gaddis, can you come up here, please? Robinson Claire could not be with us tonight. Al, come on, I'm going to embarrass you. In 2018, we spoke to Alan Gaddis about becoming our next volunteer president because Greg Kelly was stepping down after a remarkable 15 years. And Al's condition was that Robin was going to serve with him, and we were so excited. And he asked, what will my role be? Well, you'll be the anchor of the organization. Do you mean I'll just be a dead weight at the end of my rope, dragging around underwater for the next 3 to 4 years? No, he didn't say that. I'm just kidding. But he and Robin did personify keeping us tethered, keeping us focused, and having the ability to raise funds and awareness during a scary and very unpredictable time. And for this, we present them each with our Anchor Award for Outstanding Leadership.
I will take Robin's. Robin is my next door neighbor as well, so I'll be happy to take her trophy.
Award on her. He accepts it graciously on her behalf. Laura, I'll come back to you.
As we get started tonight, I wanted to introduce you to the Alumni Association. Aside from the Hall of Fame ceremony, we maintain the wonderful collection of Newport Harbor history in the Webb Jones Heritage Hall, which you can visit right after the ceremony if you go straight out the doors and to the left. We also support reunions and plan fun community events, like our unforgettable 90 Years Plus One Homecoming Weekend Bash last fall, our tailgate parties, we just had one September 30th at the Environmental Nature Center, and film events like 5 Summer Stories, which was online, and the premiere of Jurassic World, thanks to alumni Frank Marshall. As we look ahead to, I have to gasp when I say this number, our 100th birthday in 2030, you can join the fun by volunteering with us. All of the details are there on the back of your programs. And if you don't have time to spare, you can use the envelope tucked inside your program and scan the QR code on the back or contribute online at newportharboralumni.org. Our fundraising efforts go to events like this tonight, as well as our scholarship program for graduating seniors that we're very proud of. This past June, we were able to award 10 $2,000 scholarships for deserving students. And after the hardships of the pandemic, we saw more need than ever before. Over the past 6 years our program has been in place, we've given away a total of $80,000 to help the career dreams of our students come true. So, if you have $5, $50, or $500, we'd be most appreciative. Now, on to our Hall of Fame. The selection process is careful and rigorous. It involves an open nomination process. In fact, you can nominate someone for our next Hall of Fame. So if you have excellent alumni or faculty to suggest, the committee is always accepting nominations. You can take a look at the past honorees for inspiration, and then let us know who you think we should include in the future by filling out and submitting one of our forms online. Candidates, after nomination, are then researched, discussed, and debated by the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. This is made up of alumni, past and present faculty, current school staff, and several Hall of Fame honorees. With over 90 years of outstanding sailors, this year the committee had more nominations than ever before. If you've nominated someone, just know that they remain on our list to be considered the next year. Okay, let's get started. To help us tonight, we have 3 former inductees of the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame. Each will introduce and welcome a few incoming Hall of Famers. So let's begin. After graduating from Newport Harbor High School in 1963, our first presenter earned degrees in civil engineering and business administration. He then joined his father in J. Ray Construction, where he built a little of everything throughout Southern California, including Sims Hall, right here at Harbor High. In the early 1980s, he joined with 2 partners to found Sanderson J. Ray Development, and went on to develop and operate primarily retail and apartment properties through Southern California. He met his wife Janet in the 3rd grade, and they have been married for 50 years. The 2 have been involved in a variety of philanthropic activities. He has served as the chair of the Discovery Pew and the Orange County School of Arts. In 2007, he and Janet were recognized with a Lifetime Achievement Award by National Philanthropy Day. To introduce our first 2 honorees, please welcome Newport Harbor High Hall of Fame inductee, James Walkie Ray.
It takes a special kind of person to look Harrison Ford in the eye and accept his challenge to a street race while driving a 1932 Ford Coupe with George Lucas looking on. But our first inductee knew he was up for it because he had already served with the U.S. Navy in the Vietnam War and was awarded the National Defense Medal, a Vietnam Service Medal, and the George Washington Honor Medal. He also faced down challengers in the boxing ring and won the 1972 Diamond Belt welterweight division at the Southern Pacific Boxing Championship. He then took on Hollywood as John Milner. Can you remember? In American Graffiti. His performance earned critical acclaim and the Golden Globe for a new star of the year. He appeared in the Jonathan Demme film Handled with Care and Melvin and Howard, which won 2 Academy Awards and earned him another Golden Globe nomination. He met the challenge of performing alongside Farrah Fawcett in the TV film The Burning Bed and won his second Golden Globe. Not one to give up, he continued acting in a variety of projects like the cult film Puppet Master and as Josiah Peel in the Lonesome Dove series. For his ability to dig deep for each outstanding performance in service to our country and on the big screen, it is our honor to induct Paul Lamatt, class of 1963, my class, into Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame. While grateful for the honor, Paul is not able to be with us tonight, so I'm going to accept his plaque on his behalf. To become an Eagle Scout, you need the grit to not give up easily. Our next honoree excelled at academics at Harvard and went on to Stanford with the hopes of becoming a doctor. Then disaster. In his first college chemistry class, he received a rather bad grade on the midterm. When he went to discuss his grade with his professor, hoping to receive some sympathy, I know the class. The teacher said that if this grade reflected his intellectual abilities in science, then no one would want him to become a physician. Instead of giving up, this Eagle Scout decided to approach chemistry as if he were responsible for teaching it rather than just studying for a test. He received the highest grade on the final exam and then went on to earn his MD. He used the same grit on the important task of improving surgical techniques for liver transplantation and developing new therapies to reduce the number of transplants needed. He helped establish the United Network of Organ Sharing and served as chair of the American Liver Foundation to advocate for patients with hepatitis B. To help the next generation make their own breakthroughs, he was the founding medical director of hepatology programs at liver, I needed to ask too, at the University of Colorado at Cedars-Sinai, and he now teaches at Baylor in Texas. He's been honored with many awards and nominated by his peers for America's top doctors for 22 years in a row. For his dedication to serving individual patients, his fellow scientists, and the future of medicine, it is our honor to induct my classmate and dear friend, John Vierling, class of 1963, into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm thrilled by this and very honored, and definitely want to thank you, Walkie, for the kind introduction. Also to thank Janet, dear friend and classmate. We went through every school year here together, and all of us graduated from Stanford. And it is also very important that I thank my wife, Donna. She's a physician and gastroenterologist and my peer. But in terms of her contribution to my career, she's peerless because she's contributed so much to my personal and professional life and the success of our family. So I'm dearly indebted to her to be here. She's really been my soulmate in all this journey. I'm also indebted really to all those who taught and all classmates that I had throughout my schooling here in graduation from Harbor High. You all taught me a great deal. Taught me about myself, taught me about interactions. You taught, I think, all of us that it wasn't a competition that was going to be without win-win, but one for excellence which we all strove for, and we did it in the classroom, and we did it on the athletic fields, where our class, I think, had 4 Sunset League championships for all the schools in sports, all 4 years we were in high school. So it really is a testimony to all of you, and I'm very, very grateful for that experience. Joaquin mentioned scouting. That was very important to me, and many exemplary mentors came forward when my father became disabled when I was 12, and helped me through a lot of experiences that culminated in my being able to have a tuition Eagle Scout Award with the Doppelmayr family at Stanford University, which was obviously instrumental in where I went. I went into academic medicine, and I went into academic medicine because I wanted to ask more than why, I wanted to ask why not. Why not find out something that could be curative? Why not do this better than it's being done now? Why not be able to care for more lives? And it's been a journey that has been with all of my collaborators, which are now worldwide. With all their help in our efforts, we created a new subspecialty in medicine, hepatology, not herpetology, it's hepatology. And we were able to thrive and to move things forward. And it's just been a great journey to do so. And Joaquin said in his remarks that I'd always known I wanted to be a doctor. And that was another contribution of our entire community. Why I really thought that at age 5, I'm not completely sure, but part of it had to do with the fact that at age 4, I was playing doctor with a little girl down the street who also wanted to be a doctor. And soon we put our collaborative efforts together, and we were dealing with trauma, we were dealing with orthopedics, with gynecology, urology, not necessarily in that order. Sure enough, came the day when our mother caught us. But it was our good luck that it was Wednesday and we were playing golf. So back to a serious note. We perform organ transplantations in the United States. Many countries don't have that luxury. We save lives routinely, you're all aware of that. We have 8,000 liver transplants we did this past year, and unfortunately about 1/3 of those organs were donated from people who died of brain deaths due to opiates. A tragedy in our country. We can't tolerate that tragedy. We need to have even more donors. We can't lose the momentum that we have. So I would end by saying, if you or your loved one would be willing to accept an organ as a life-saving operation in transplantation, please be willing to donate your organs. And don't tell the DMV, we don't look at your license. Tell your loved ones so that in the crisis moment, the worst moments of their life, they will know for sure what your intention was. Because we can't have you taking your organs to heaven. Heaven knows that we need them here, right now. Thank you very much.
What a great start to the evening. I just wanted to add on a personal note, a personal thank you to Dr. Vierling. I told him earlier, my husband is a transplant recipient, 9 years out, and it's a truly life-saving, miraculous thing that you do. If you're taking any photos or videos tonight, make sure to tag the Alumni Association on social media. We're at Newport Harbor Alumni, and we'd love to see your experiences tonight. Our second presenter established herself as a sought-after instructor at Newport Harbor by designing exciting literature courses, including a popular science fiction class. After befriending author Ray Bradbury, she enticed him to come speak here on campus. In recognition of her commitment to encouraging her students toward excellence, she was elected Teacher of the Year in 1977. She left teaching to practice her other passion, the arts. She sang with the Pacific Chorale for 40 years, helped found their academy, and directed their board. In addition to leading the Lion's Share Foundation, she sat on the boards of many other arts organizations. Honored multiple times for her hard work and generosity, she and her husband were declared the 2010 Orange County Philanthropist of the Year by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. To introduce our next three honorees, please welcome Newport Harbor High Hall of Fame inductee, Mary Lyons.
Good evening. Singing in perfect 12-bar harmony requires timing and teamwork, and just a little bit of talent and commitment, of course. And especially when your choir director, one Suzanne Haig, is a former opera singer with a bullwhip hanging in her office. Our next honoree drew upon all of these qualities when their all-girls choir, the Chantels, sang an a cappella operetta that had only one word in the lyrics, meow. She used her timing, her teamwork, her talent, and her commitment to run a successful dental business with her husband and to open her home as a foster parent to 35 children. She was moved by the struggles of drug-exposed babies, and because little information was available on how to care for them, she authored a training manual and went cross-country to educate nurses, social workers, and other foster parents. In 1988, she and her family started Project Cuddle to provide stuffed animals for law enforcement to give to children entering the system. 8 years later, she expanded Project Cuddle to include a 24-hour crisis hotline to prevent child abandonment. And as of June 2022, this nationwide organization has worked together to support 861 babies and their parents. She has been honored by many organizations, including Disney, Child Health USA, Oprah, People Magazine, and with the 2022 Service from the Heart Award. It is for her personal commitment, the hard work, the teamwork, the talent, the commitment above all, but the hard work to help the children who need it the most. It is our very great honor to induct Debbe Magnusen, class of 1974, into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame.
Hello, I'm Debbe Magnusen, the baby saver, and I have laryngitis. Sounds like puberty. Yes, this has been my passion since I was 8 years old. There's an article that was just run called Shout Out SoCal, and you put Debbe without an I, Magnusen, so there they. And then I looked good then, and then you put Project Cuddle, and I thought I was writing a temporary article, like just bullet points of how I got from point A to point 19, and it turns out that was the article. So you'll learn what I'm going to be putting in my 4th book, which is called The Baby Saver. I have here tonight one of my alumni. He was the head fullback. Is that what it was? I don't know. Fullback. I did it right. I've been sitting quarterback all this time. He was a fullback. So Tom, he and I graduated together. I told him later, I thought he was too famous for me to know him, but I didn't have a clique. I sang, I did everything. I just liked everybody. Why not, right? Free smile, can't hurt anybody. But I had him come to one of my events, and I guess you were touched by it. And his daughter, his precious daughter, was unable to have children. So I brought a couple pictures here tonight of them, and well, you know, that's not going to cut it. So his daughter and her husband adopted one of our babies. We had 1 hour's notice before she was born, and they drove up to Long Beach, and this is her first birthday. And yes, it's not a goober. We have icing on our faces. We were really celebrating. Then, that was, you know, they thought that was enough, and they were going to just go ahead. And they bought the Mercedes and the house. And I got to see them this summer. I spoke at the National Lions Convention. And this is his beautiful daughter and baby Elle and a unicorn mermaid that I gave her. But you haven't seen one of those before. Then I've been saving, that was baby, she was baby number 820. And I am disabled, but I've done most of this from my bed. In fact, both times that they've gotten calls, they've come up, picked me up, and we worked with this girl that I've been talking with on the phone. And we were able to talk with her this time, and I said, well, honey, do you want to talk to this family, or would you like to talk to others, because we have others? Oh, no, them, I want them. So now they have a bit to pay for this little baby they were expecting in 2 months. Mom was living in a wash. She wouldn't go and stay in a hotel. She needed her next fix. And so he came early, 8 pounds, 3 ounces. We were at the hospital when we had been told by her that he was in the fallopian tube and that we didn't know it was a boy. But that hospital just said, baby's in the fallopian tube, 5 months along, nothing we can do. I have no idea where to send you, so go home. I'm a fighter, and I don't say no. I keep going. If the front door's locked, you take a side window. Well, we went up there and met them at Applebee's after some delicious food, and he paid the bill. We ended up going home, and his daughter stayed there with her husband, because of COVID, you can't get in, and ended up where we finally got the call. She was having this baby right then. Can you introduce your grandson? Tell him his name.
This is Riley Dudley Carlin. He was actually 3.5 pounds, and today he got out of the NICU after 7 weeks in the NICU.
Our biggest need is we have many more out there across the nation. We rescued a baby in Africa after I was on Oprah the first time, and one in, well, a few in Canada, one in Australia, and we need your help. Whether you want to volunteer, do a garage sale, and volunteering could be just coming and helping me sort papers because I'm bad at it. Or if you want to tell others and look at our webpage and share it with your friends and family, please, because we are about to not have our doors open. Every summer, people go on vacation. They have busyness and school close to by, and they forget about Project Tunnel. If you'd like to be on the mailing list, we'll have a clipboard outside afterwards, and you can sign up. We'd love to have you. I don't bug you with anything. That's the only thing I send out. It's our only fundraiser every year. But we're from the heart. I don't get a paycheck. And the volunteers don't either. So God bless you. Tommy, thank you.
I've always personally felt honored to have become a teacher, and it's even a greater honor when we can honor one of our own. And so we will right now honor one of our own. And we'll begin by saying that hiking through the Sierras is not for the faint of heart. Hiking for 8 days while carrying everything you need on your back is only for the truly strong. But then hiking through the Sierras for 8 days while carrying everything you need on your back with a group of teenagers takes nerves of steel. But our next inductee, Bill Burge, not only agreed to do this, it was his idea as he helped create the Field Studies program. Bill, what were you thinking? He got his start on his family's working orange grove at Tustin and came to Newport Harbor in 1969. He taught many science courses, including AP Biology, Da Vinci Integrated Science, and a popular marine science class that he created. And he collaborated with Bob House on the Environmental Nature Center, where he put his cabinetry skills to use, building displays and constructing tails. He used his nerves of steel, remember those nerves of steel, to help tag and measure sharks along the coast for the California Fish and Game Department. Just a little fun on the side. He was recognized with the Bill Boyer Teacher of the Year Award and by the National Association of Geology Teachers, and with the Geological Society of America Excellence in Earth Science Teaching. In 1991, he received the Newport Mesa Unified School District Service Appreciation Award. And it is for his commitment to the beauty of our planet and to sharing his love of nature with decades of students that it is truly our honor to induct Bill Burge into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. 1969, I arrived, had dark hair on my head and under my nose, and probably wearing a paisley shirt pattern, bell-bottom pants, and I became one of the luckiest people around. I was offered a contract with Newport Harbor High School to teach AP Biology and regular biology. And I was scared to death, absolutely scared. 25 years old, okay. So I was inducted into this fantastic science department. 3 of the members of the science department were Yosemite National Park Rangers. 1 member of the science department wrote the most popular used chemistry and physics books that were used in the country at that time. Another teacher was probably the best chemistry teacher in the state of California. And so here I was in this fantastic department. Early June, I was hired. I was to start teaching in September. I was scared to death. And those guys just took me under their wing. Where are the protozoa? Where's the autoclave spectrophotometer? Do we have that? And on and on, questions upon questions. They took me in, trusted me, and I flourished under their guidance. And it wasn't just the science department that had this feeling. All the departments at that time had this mission of doing well. It was English, the social studies, industrial arts. Andy Aller, the kids were building boats to go out in the ocean. I mean, it was a fantastic place to teach. And as I got into my journey a little bit further, it became a journey of being a part of Newport Harbor High community. The parents were great. They chipped in. They gave us luncheons to make us feel supported. They opened up their homes for get-togethers and did many other things. Drove on field trips. One parent even brought in, this is crazy, an 8-foot, 9-foot long marlin for me on Monday morning and said, "Bill, is this what you wanted to dissect today in class?" And it arrived on the sidewalk, my classroom, second floor. And the elevator is too small. And so we worked on that marlin for a while. We found parasites alive still. And by the way, it didn't all go to waste. We had barbecues galore after that. But you know, it was a community that was very successful. And I came along and it made me a better person. And hopefully I instilled some students to go on with their lives and have good opportunities in their lives. Thank you very much.
Somehow there is always a certain person that you meet early in life who just suddenly shows up and can sort of do everything, get all the right attention, do all the right things. And there's always that guy in high school, a standout smile, nice hair. Both guys and girls like him. Amazing. He's a talented athlete and leader, and so they make him captain of the baseball team. He's humble, so he's recognized as most improved 2 years running. And that guy goes on to become team captain at Golden West College and the University of Houston. He plays a professional season with the Miami Marlins and then begins working at his alma mater as the junior varsity coach. And that guy, John Altobelli, becomes head coach at Orange Coast College in 1992 and turns the program into a powerhouse with 4 state and 1 national championships. He holds the record for most victories in OCC baseball history, 702. And he has a season with a school record 39 wins. He guides many of his players to 4-year universities and the major leagues. And that guy is the 8-time Orange Empire Conference Coach of the Year, 4-time State Coach of the Year, and the 2019 National Coach of the Year, all while raising a beautiful family. And that guy is taken from us much too soon. We could not have imagined or guessed the terrible tragedy that would take him away from us. But we are also very, very lucky that his legacy lives on through his beautiful family, friends, and the hundreds of students that he taught to value commitment, integrity, and teamwork. And so for his ability to encourage everyone around him to be their best, it is our honor to induct John Altobelli, class of 1981, into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame. Today, he is represented by his friend and classmate, Clark Smith.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Altobelli family, John's former students, players, and friends, I want to thank the Alumni Association for this award. I think a lot has been written and spoken about John over the last 3 years. I think it's pretty well documented, his achievements, his life lessons, his mission. But his roots were here at Newport Harbor High School. He had several siblings go here. His brother Tony graduated in 1989. His daughter Lexi graduated in 2021. And John, what he meant to the community, his teachings are still here at Newport Harbor High School. Newport Harbor High School varsity baseball coach Josh Lee took over the program last year and guided the team to its most successful season in over 90 years of baseball, winning a CIF regional championship. It's not a coincidence. Josh is a former player of John's and was on his 2009 state championship team. Many of the same messages of life, of approaching with hard work, respect, doing the right thing, is a message that's instilled by Josh to his team. And Josh will be the first to tell you that John was a big influence on him and continues to be. And the message from John is being passed to that next generation of sailors for success on the field as well as off. I asked John's brother, Tony, if there was any special thing that he would like me to relate about John's time here at Newport Harbor, any story. And Tony responded with 2 words, food fight. So I'm going to go back to spring of 1980. It was Spirit Week at Newport Harbor, and some of the faculty that are here today may remember this, because it is infamous in Newport Harbor High School history, but a story that I'm sure John would be very happy to have me repeat today. Principal Bolton has assured me that the statute of limitations has expired for potential detention or picking up trash, so I'm kind of operating under that auspices. But give you a quick story. Back in those days, ASB organized Spirit Week, and each day during Spirit Week was a different theme. And students would come to school dressed up in that theme. ASB that year, who happened to be headed by Mr. Alan Gaddis, decided one of the days would be Roman Toga Day. I'm sure there was no connection with the recent movie Animal House that had come out just before, but what could possibly go wrong? They decided to go forward with that. So as you can imagine, as the time approached, the student body was well prepared for Animal House Day. Sure enough, at lunchtime, John Altobelli, myself, and a lot of other students were ready too. Started in the cafeteria, worked its way out to the quad, and it was a melee. Hundreds and hundreds of students. It went all through lunch, all past lunch, into the next period. Classes were canceled. It was out of control. And any of the faculty members that smiles or remembers fondly on it do so now only because it didn't happen on their watch. Because the faculty members had to duck and cover during that event. John, of course, was in the middle of it, but had hurt his shoulder that season and his right shoulder, and he threw right-handed. So he tried to throw left-handed during the food fight. It didn't work out too good. He head to toe covered with eggs, oranges, you name it. He was nailed. He was the recipient, not the giver. Eventually, school is canceled and everybody leaves. The food fight continued. Faculty members finally returned. Mr. Altobelli and myself got rounded up and were herded to a detention pen in Beak Hall, first floor, along with countless other students. So we were ushered in and realized, this might not go too well because this is the middle of baseball season and we have a league game the next day. Contemplating our circumstance, Alto suggested that maybe we exit the room through the first floor window, which we did. I think some of the faculty members may have known our involvement, but took pity on us. The next day, we were only able to field a team of 8, which we were, I think, trounced by Fountain Valley the next day. But Alto was always a team guy, so he wanted to make sure we were out there. But good memories and a story I'm sure Alto would approve of. I wish Alto and Carrie and Alyssa could be here tonight. I think they would have enjoyed it too, but thank you very much on behalf of the Altobelli family.
I'm not going to forget that story very soon, Clark. Actually, we're not finished. We have 3 more amazing achievers to induct, and this evening has already been such an inspiration. We hope that you take what you are hearing tonight and allow it to impact you. Immediately following the program, you're invited to chat some more with these amazing people, and we hope, if you haven't had a chance already, that you'll head over to Heritage Hall and the Hall of Fame wall. Again, you just leave the theater and take a left toward the next sidewalk and inside the open doors. Our last presenter has a passion for learning that has led him to take and pass every AP exam offered at the school. After graduating as a 1986 valedictorian, he double majored in linguistics and biology at Stanford, where he won the Firestone Medal for Outstanding Undergraduate Honors Thesis. He earned his MD and PhD at UC San Diego and completed his residency and fellowship at Brigham and Women's Hospital, followed by postdoctoral work at Harvard. Now at Washington University's School of Medicine in St. Louis, he works to help patients with brain tumors and other serious diseases of the nervous system, while directing a research laboratory devoted to developing optogenetic therapies to treat and prevent blindness. To introduce our final 3 honorees, please welcome Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame inductee, Dr. Joe Corbo.
Our last 3 honorees sort of continue this theme of remarkable accomplishment across broad domains of human endeavor. And the next person, Dave Bowman, really matches that description. So most people have to work a day job to find time to spend their weekends out on the water sailing, but Dave managed to figure out a way to combine both of these activities in one. So after being in the classroom for a number of years, he decided he wanted to work outdoors, doing what he loved. And so 3 years after graduating, he founded his own sail-making company. And he started out making sails for dinghies and local one design classes, and later grew this into a business where they manufacture top-of-the-line race sails for major international competitions and really became a standard in that industry. And out on the water, he himself earned over 30 championship titles, including 4 world championship titles. Became a Southern Ocean Racing Conference and Admirals Cup winning skipper, a U.S. team racing champion, a U.S. men's national champion, and a 5-time Southern California Lipton Cup champion. As a mentor to the next generation of sailors, he coached teams for the America's Cup and the Olympics. And for his vision and values as a sailor, coach, and sailmaker, he was named the Rolex Yachtsman of the Year in 1996, and was later inducted into the National Sailing Hall of Fame in 2016. So for demonstrating the qualities of a true champion, preparation, determination, and a love of the work, it is our honor to induct David Ullman, Class of 1964, into the Newport Harbor High School.
I'm actually humbled by my presenter. Pretty hard to come up here after that. My path to what successes I have was quite different. I'm highly dyslexic and struggled in high school and persevered. Partially thank you to the school for my perseverance. What it taught me and what I learned was you can have a learning disability, and if you work harder, try harder, and have a talent and pursue it, you can succeed. And I was lucky enough and worked harder than all my competitors when I was sailing, and it led me to Olympic coaching and racing success. I have to thank a couple people for being here. I have to thank my son Jacob for nominating me. Thank you, Jacob. I also have to thank my entire family. I was on the road a lot of years. I lived in New Zealand for 4 years because of the America's Cup without my family. And my family allowed me to have the freedom to pursue what I love to do and what I was good at. So thank you, my entire family, for letting me do what I do. And I'm now coaching high school in Santa Barbara, the 4 high school sailing teams, and probably loving that more than any coaching I've done. So it's back to the roots. Thank you all. is an incredible honor for me.
So our next honoree loved to be on the move, especially at the infamous car rally sponsored by Mr. Duke's Math and Science Club. Unfortunately, this did not work out well for her when she was behind the wheel and crashed into a teacher's car in the school parking lot right in front of the water polo team. This performance, however, earned her a standing ovation from the team. So fortunately for us, she decided to devote herself to buildings instead of cars by studying architectural design at UCLA. And after working for a number of firms, she co-founded with her own firm with her husband, and since 1990, they have completed more than 500 residential, commercial, and landscape projects. They help restore historic sites in Los Angeles, including Hollywood's Capitol Records and Cecil B. DeMille residence. And her work has been featured in over 25 books and 100 publications, including Architectural Digest and many others. And in 2017, she published her own first book on design. She's been honored with many awards, and she supports charities such as Big Sunday, as well as organizations and museums that focus on historical preservation and the celebration of design. For her commitment to shaping our world through diverse, sustainable designs, and that remind us that function can also be beautiful, it is our honor to induct Raun Thorp Class of 1977 into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you so much for this, and I guess the car rally thing had to come up. So I want to thank the Newport Harbor Alumni Association for this honor, as well as my family, my Newport Harbor High School friends, my teachers, some of whom are here tonight. And I also want to thank those who couldn't be here. Second, I'd like to apologize to Dennis O'Hearn for thinking that the phone call about the induction to this Hall of Fame was a sales call. Still not totally sure about that. I know that I was infamous. I guess we all just heard about that, and more for my driving and some rather elaborate pranks than I can remember being for any big successes at the school. But I am truly humbled to be here on this stage tonight, 45 years after graduation, with this group of dedicated and accomplished alumni and faculty, and congratulations to all of you. Done a lot of thinking about how to sum up the 4 years I spent here in this place, and to try and edit that down to one memorable story or single standout memory, but it wasn't possible. It was, at the risk of sounding cliche, the whole experience was greater than the sum of the parts. The place, the students, the faculty, and all the non-quantifiable connections between them made that experience what it was. When I arrived in the fall of 1974, a very nerdy 14-year-old kid on my bike, sweaty, riding 1.5 miles down Irvine Avenue, fresh out of Heinz Kaiser Junior High School, to the school where I knew practically no one. The Vietnam War was still raging, hair was big, drugs were big, and the school was huge and scary. And I'd never seen a place that looked like this before that was public school. And on the first day, I was struck by how beautiful this place was. The WPA murals, the way the campus was laid out, the library, the famous tower. There was something about it that elevated our education, the design and history of the school, and its people. It was an intangible contributor to everything that we experienced and learned here. The anchor, as it were. Bad pun, yes, intended. Though I had no idea at the time that I'd become an architect, I feel certain now that all of this printed in ways that I never would realize until much later. But somehow, I found my place in this place. I made some lifelong friends here, and some of them are right there, sitting in that third row, fourth row. And I had some legendary teachers. Some of them are also here. Amongst those, the late Fabian Giroux. Some of you were in my class with him. Some of you will remember his notorious world history class, completely terrifying and completely transformative at the same time. Completely One of the most frightening things I think any of us had to do was to take one of his unit exams, which you would sit down with a blue exam book, blank, and furiously hope that you would produce something brilliant in an hour, the entire summation of agrarian society, and then repeat that for the rest of the school year. Every unit was like this. Anyway, from homemade flashcards that we had to memorize, we had to produce this in a small exam book with a pencil. I think I tried practically everything in my time at Newport Harbor High. I worked on the Beacon, I was in theater productions, I sang in the Chantels, yes, they were really called that. I was in that office with Suzanne Ruschenhaig with the bullwhip more than once. Not a place you wanted to be if you were Chantel. I was in the Math Science Club, not sure what math or science we actually did, but we had plenty of time learning about engineering and cars. Car Rally Sleeper Cell was probably my biggest memory from that time period. I was in GAA and I tried AFS, went off to Germany telling them that I actually was fluent, or not fluent, but spoke German well, and I found out when I got there that I had no idea what I was doing. I bit off a lot more than I could chew. I made plenty of mistakes, and I would say that at the end, I learned at least as much from those mistakes and the failures as I did from any successes that I had. But the last thing I would like to say is that everything I tried, successful or not, contributed to what I do now, all of it. And I want to thank the amazing teachers that I had for their support, for upholding their standards, and for doing it all with compassion and a sense of humor. Thank you.
On my son's first day of Latin class at middle school in St. Louis, Missouri, the teacher, Mr. Meyer, that taught the class, taught them their first phrase in Latin, and it was Magister Meyer optimus maximus est, which translates as, Mr. Meyer is the greatest and best teacher. Clearly, Mr. Meyer never met our next honoree, Mr. Joe Robinson. So, Mr. Robinson has been teaching for a long time. They say that his first stint began soon after the end of the Cro-Magnon era of human evolution, when Latin was still a living language in many parts of the world. Mr. Robinson was raised in Costa Mesa, California, and he studied at St. John's Seminary and Cal State Long Beach. He was intrigued by different cultures from an early age and became a world traveler. He spent summers in India, Guatemala, and driving through Eastern Europe in a Volkswagen bug. Mr. Robinson began teaching at Ensign in 1967 and then came to Harvard 2 years later as a Spanish teacher. And he couldn't hold himself to just a single subject and began to teach anthropology and history, and then took on Latin as well, building an exciting and very popular program. And after a leave of absence to raise his children, he pioneered a U.S. history class for second language students and an AP European history course as well. Devoted to diversity, Mr. Robinson oversaw numerous clubs, including the Ambassador Club, Mock Trial, the Jewish and Asian clubs, and served as cheer advisor and the basketball announcer. He helped develop the academy system with the Da Vinci program and brought the International Baccalaureate to campus. And he taught art history and wrote plays and movies for his students. I first met Joe Robinson in the early 1980s as an impressionable 14-year-old in his first year Latin class. And I was instantly transfixed by the beauty of the Latin language and the strange idiosyncrasies of the ancient Romans. And the walls of Mr. Robinson's class were lined with photographs of the busts of Roman emperors at that time. And one day in class, we were in a quiet period, and another student suddenly shouted, "Look, it's Corbo!" And he was pointing to one of these busts on the wall. And the class started laughing out loud because there was this sort of uncanny resemblance between me and one of the ancient Roman emperors. And for a moment, I started feeling kind of smug and self-satisfied by this resemblance. And then I realized that he was pointing at one of the more degenerate and corrupt of the late Roman emperors. The point of this anecdote is that Mr. Robinson joined in the fun. and made this class a fun and relaxed place to learn. And it was really a pleasure and never a chore to learn with him. And it's hard for me to overstate the influence Joe Robinson's had on my own life. He inspired me a lifelong love of learning that now extends far beyond Latin and other languages. But I went on to study linguistics as an undergrad, and I'm now a university professor myself. But I'd like to end by sharing a quote with you from one of my favorite French writers, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who some of you might know as the author of The Little Prince. And for me, this quote epitomizes Joe Robinson's approach to teaching. He wrote, "If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea." And I think Joe Robinson did that for me and many other students with his inspiring teaching. So for his open-hearted acceptance of students and a career that stretched over 55 years and touching 7 decades, it is our honor to induct Joe Robinson into the Newport Harbor High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Joe. That was really an honor, and this is really an honor, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I started 55 years ago at Ensign, as Joe said, and I just got married that same summer, actually, of '67, and Mary Ann is still sitting there and putting up with me for 55 years. I was really a bad teacher my first year of teaching. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I knew the subject, I was teaching Spanish, but I didn't know what teaching was all about, and I felt not very good. And I saw some kids tonight that actually were in that first class, and I wanted to apologize to them that I tried to get better because I loved it. I loved that first year, even though I wasn't very good. And I said, I've got to get better than this, or they won't let me keep teaching. And you know, we need the income. Mary and I both like to eat a lot. You know, we'll eat 2 or 3 times a day. And so I set on a quest. It was a 55-year quest to figure out what teaching really is. And I wasn't alone in that quest. You know, do you know that most people who get into education don't do it because they're going to make a lot of money? It's really true. I have found that most people that I know who got into education did it because they want to, among other things, they want to help people. And they want to do something good for the world. They want to change the world a little bit for the better. And they're really kind of cool people. Those kinds of people, the kind I got to hang with for 55 years, make really good friends. And some of them are sitting here tonight, friendships of 50 years. And those people helped me. And they taught me some stuff about teaching and inspired me, and were good examples and shared ideas. And so they helped me on my journey a lot. I also ran into some amazing students. Maybe one of the most illustrious, of course, is Joe. Raun is one of my students in anthropology, and there are several more sitting here. And these are the kids that really inspired me because they were so unusual. Joe and Raun, and I don't know if Gwen is still here. She's teaching here now. But these kids were so passionate about learning and so determined to gain more knowledge that they didn't need teachers. They actually taught themselves. They had that ability. And Joe, among one of the most amazing SALT teachers I've ever known. And I thought, okay, that's what teaching's about. I need all of my students to be like Joe and Raun, the kind of people that teach themselves and don't need teachers. to get them going. Is that a baseball score? But even with that, there was still something missing for me. I wanted something more about teaching. And I got it for my children. Gary and Sarah are sitting here tonight, Gary with his boys. And as Joe said, I was asked to teach another class, AP European History. And it was, I said, oh, good, European history. I love that. I like reading about dead kings and queens and stuff. And that'll be fun. And then I saw that Gary and Sarah had both signed up for the class. They were both really good students in high school. And they signed up for this class. And I go, oh, crap. It really affected me. And I started feeling, what if I let them down? What if I don't do the job that they need? And I was really worried. And I thought, well, and what if I embarrass them even more than I normally do? And I thought, I got to step it up. So I went to work that whole summer. I got every book I could find on European history, and I read, and I really worked hard so that to be sure not to let my own kids down. So first day of class, I walk in, and there's Gary with all of his little sophomore pals sitting in the front, and then there's Sarah with all of her senior pals sitting in the back, making fun of the sophomores. And I looked around, and I knew a lot of the kids, and I go, oh, this is going to be fun. So we started out, and it was great. We had great conversations, and we had a really good time, until it was time for the first test. And I gave this first test. It was the first unit. We covered a lot of material, and it was a hard test. But Sarah and Gary both got A's on the test, and a lot of the other kids didn't. And they said, it's not fair. I said, what do you mean it's not fair? And they said, because Sarah and Gary live with you, they can ask you questions anytime. They have an advantage over us. And I go, well, they're my kids. But they were upset. So I went home and I thought about it, and I thought, I think they might be right. So I went in the next day, and I said, you know what, guys? You're right. Gary and Sarah have an advantage, especially before a test. So let's pretend for the rest of the year that you're my kids too. And the next time there's a test, the night before, 7 o'clock, come over to my house, you're my kid, and we'll review together, all of us. And they said, okay, that was cool. And I went home, and I told Mary Ann, I said, I offered to have the kids come over, and she said, how many kids are in the class? And I said, 30. And she said, honey, they won't fit in our house. I said, oh, don't worry. It'll probably, they're teenagers. It'll be about 5 kids that will actually show up. Well, the next test, the night before, 7 o'clock at night, every single kid showed up at our class, at my house. And they marched in, and they sat down. They took all the chairs, the couches. They sat on the table. They sat on the floor. They sat on each other's laps. They did whatever they had to do, and they sat there, and we reviewed European history for as long as they needed, and then I answered questions for as long as they needed. And I stayed in, I said, I'm here until you don't need me anymore. And then finally the last one left, and that was the end of that. Except 2 or 3 weeks later, the next test, all 30 came back again. And they came back every test for the rest of the school year. Did it work? At the end of the year, those 30 kids took the AP test, European history. Every single kid passed the test. 100%. The national average for that year for that particular subject was 65% pass rate, but our kids was 100%. And I thought, wow, I think maybe they learned something. But so did I. And for me, it was the missing part of my teaching. And I said, from now on, any class I teach, or any student I teach, I'm going to treat that class and that student as if they're my own children. That was my goal. Did I succeed in my goal 100%? No. Was I my best every single day teaching? No. Did every kid in my class learn a lot? Probably not. Did all the kids I taught feel like I honored them personally and cherished them? I really hope so. I really tried to honor and cherish those kids. I really tried to think of them as my own children. But I don't know. I hope they did. But at least I had an idea now, and it was thanks to Sarah and Gary. Thank you for taking the class and pushing me to just go that extra mile and help me understand what teaching is really about. I finally decided to retire this year. I'm 82 years old. And the reason I went so long is because I just loved it so much. I loved being with these kids. I loved every single day of my teaching. I loved every single kid I ever taught. And I can't imagine any kind of a life that would be any happier than the life that I've been able to have. I'm grateful for this award. I'm grateful, really grateful to Sarah and Gary for pushing me. By the way, Sarah has taught at the university level. She's a published author. And Gary now is the official AP European history teacher at Newport Harbor High School. And both of them are way better teachers than I ever was. I'm grateful for my wife, Mary Ann, who stuck by me and encouraged me, and she's just a rock, and she was there to support me all the way through. And I'm so grateful for her. I'm grateful for the school board for allowing me to teach for so long. I'm grateful for my colleagues, my fellow teachers. I'm grateful for the community, and I'm grateful for all of you because you gave me the chance to live a really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for tonight's Hall of Fame presenters. We had James Walkie Ray, Mary Lyons, Dr. Joe Corbo, and your 2022 Hall of Fame inductees, John Altobelli, Paul Lamatt, Debbe Magnusen, Raun Thorp, David Ullman, Dr. John Vierling, Mr. Bill Burge, and Joe Robinson. Thank you so much for being here tonight. See you at our next event.
Absolutely. Your Polish side?
Oxford did a good job.
We did. We always
surprise
do.
there.
Food fight. Oh my God. Flashbacks on that.
Keep in mind, I was 9 when that happened, and I told him to do that story.
Oh my goodness.
Made an impression on you
It did.
at 9 years old.
I tried to start one when I was there, but they didn't want to go for it. So it didn't happen.
I didn't know